Time now for breathing lessons with Susan Kay, helping you learn how to breathe and release those beliefs that have been binding you so you can just enjoy life and breathe easy. Breathing lessons with Susan Kay.
Today's video is called Changing Energy. I'm Susan Kay, and this is the second in a series about changing the energy in our society and in our country and in our culture. Last time I talked about toxic male energy and how it has been the focus for generations, many generations all over the world. There's just been this energy that has been controlling. It has been authoritarian. It has been very othering of others. It's been enemy building. It's a type of energy that builds enemies and creates war and those kinds of things. When I'm talking about toxic male energy, I'm not just talking about males. I'm just talking about the energy that we as a society has been working with for the last several generations, if not many more. It's the type of energy that creates chaos. It creates conflict. It is it's a strong armed type of energy. It's like a force rather than any real power. The difference, in my opinion, between real power and force is that true power doesn't have to be forceful. It just stands on its own, and it just is. But force is what we use when we really don't feel that we have the power, and we're frightened, and we have fear, and we have anger. My personal belief is that our society has run along this line because of separation. We feel separated from each other. We feel separated from God. We're taught in the Judeo-Christian tradition that fundamentalism, that we are separate from God and that we have no agency of our own. We are nothing but sinners. And there's just a lot of toxic beliefs. A lot of the anti-woman thing comes from the Christian belief tradition. So I'm not going to get into all that right now. What I want to do is talk about how do we go through this society right now where we are with everything that is happening. Today I woke up to the fact that in Colorado Springs people were slaughtered in an LGBTQ nightclub that the city officials say was not a problem nightclub. These people had a place to go, they had a place to feel safe, and a gunman came in there late last night, early this morning, and just gunned a bunch of people down. You know, unfortunately, we're so used to this kind of news. We're just almost insensitive to it anymore. And it's a terrible shame. From the time Kent State started with the first shooter to today, there's just hundreds and thousands probably of shooters and mass shootings that go on all the time, and we are so insensitive to it. It's just terrible. So we need to change our world. And it just feels like a daunting task. It feels like, how in the world can any one person do anything to really change the world? There's a lot of things I could say, but I want to talk about 3 or 4 main points today. First of all, I want to say that we as individuals are responsible for the energy we walk around in. We are responsible for how we approach the world, how we approach others. And to me, that's the energy we walk around in. If you walk around angry, you're walking around in an angry energy. And that energy affects people that you see every day. You are affecting people. No matter what your energy is, you will affect everyone that you meet. If you have, if you're in an energy of victimhood, feeling angry because you feel like you're not getting yours or whatever, that's the kind of energy and so the thing that we do not talk about in this country is that we're responsible for our own energy. We have become blamers, people who blame somebody else for our problems. And the truth is, we have to take responsibility for what we are creating in our own lives. And that is not some magical thinking thing. It's just the truth. If I am angry all the time and I'm vitriolic and I want to get back at others, then all I'm doing is creating in my world and in the world of others chaos and war type mindset. And it's just not, and I'm making people my enemies. The lack of connection in our country, the lack of connection in our society and the world as a whole has created the situation where because we're disconnected, we have lost our ability to empathize and to have the level of compassion we need to heal our country and our societies. It's time to come back to the nurturing of our society, the nurturing of people, the caring for people, and the empathy that is innate within people. I did a video a while back about babies, where I talked about babies when they're first born and when they're just little tiny people have innate senses of responsibility to other people, and they're helpful and they have empathy and they want to do something good for other people. It's just innate within them. And then somewhere along the line, we take that out of them. So number one, I would say the first thing we need to do to change our world is we need to stop ingesting things in our society, whether they're on YouTube or whether they're on Netflix or whether they're on the news or whether they're in magazines or wherever they are, or whether there's conversation where we are othering people, where it just creates more anger and more disconnection. I found myself listening to a broadcast the other day, and partway into it, I could see where it was going, and it was not just informational. It was there was a lot of anger in it about the subject and the people they were talking about, and I turned it off. Although I agree mentally with their position, the energy that was coming through that person was not going to help me. So I turned it off. And we've got to get past the point of thinking, because I agree with someone politically, that then I can just listen to all this stuff and I can grind and chew people up and spit them out and all that kind of stuff because I'm right and this is right. We have to stop doing that. We have to take responsibility for how we engage when it comes to our opinions and our beliefs. The next thing I want to talk about is words. We are living in a society where people are no longer responsible for the words that come out of their mouths. They can hide in chat rooms, they can hide on Twitter. Nobody's really seeing them. There's not the face-to-face. They can go out on a website where they can make up a name and leave all kinds of hateful statements, unfounded statements, create more anger and more chaos and attack people. These things have to stop. And that's part of owning your energy, is you own your words. We have to get back to the place where we understand that our words matter. Our words create things. Our words create situations. They help to facilitate either good or evil. And it's time to get back to reasonable words when it comes to, even when we're talking about things with people that we don't agree with, that we're not in agreement. We have to get back to reasonable language, reasonable words. And part of that is seeing the other person for who they are and giving them the right to have whatever the opinion is that they have. Now, this is not me saying don't stand up if you see people using hateful language towards other people. I believe in that. I believe that if you're walking down the street and there's maybe some young Latinx people standing on the street and somebody comes along and they start, flicking them crap as to whether they're illegal or, that, then, it's time to go and help that sort of thing and say, this isn't right and you don't have the right to ask these questions of these people and, step in. So I'm not talking about that. But I am talking about walking around in an energy that is a healing energy and not a destructive energy. And our words. So sometimes it's hard, I do this every now and then. I'll start writing something on Facebook or something, a social media thing, and I have to stop and look at it. What am I saying? Is this healing? Is this helpful? Is this just going to piss somebody off? Is that what I want? How is this going to help? Is this going to be a helping thing or is it going to be a hurting thing? And I've erased a lot of words over the last few years, but I think it's very important that we take that responsibility. We are responsible for whatever words come out of our mouth and land in the face of other people. Taking responsibility for our energy is also to, if I am in a bad space or not as a healthy a space, which I can get into that, I stay home. I stay home from the office and I work from home, or I stay home from the grocery store. I don't go out in the world. And I wait until I can work with my own energy to bring my energy up to the level that I feel like is safe for other people. We need to learn to be safe for other people. And when I can be that, then I can go out in the world and I can engage with other people. Since I've been working with this and trying to live this, it's been a very interesting time for me. I find people are constantly complimenting me. And I don't think it has, they'll talk about my hair, or they'll talk about whatever. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has to do with the energy I'm carrying. And people can feel it. You know that there's people, when they come in a room, they just pull the whole room down. Well, I think that there are people who come in a room and pull the whole energy up. I do. There are just people that make you feel good by being around them. That's the kind of person I am looking to be. I'm working at it. And so one of the things that I have really worked on is my face. When I go out into the community, I because my energy is feeling really light and good, it's easy for me to smile at people. It's easy for me to say, hi, how are you today? It's easy for me to offer to help if I see somebody that's struggling with, getting something from a shelf. Well, I can't really help much with that because I'm too short. But, I've had times where I was able to help people who are in the grocery carts to get their groceries from their cart into their car, or help them get it onto the thing that goes to the cashier. Those kinds of things. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes if I see that somebody needs help, I can help them. That just seems like such a little weird thing to do. It is not a little weird thing to do. It is important, and it will make a difference in their lives. Every time you go out, every time you engage with anybody, you will leave an imprint on them, whether you think you are or not. I was walking through a parking lot 2 days ago, and this gentleman was walking towards me, and we both just happened to look at each other. at the same time, and he said hi, and I said hi. And it was like, I see you and you see me. We've seen each other today. And so you can go home and know that you've been seen. I think a lot of the anger and hate in our country are people who have felt that they have absolutely not been seen. They are no longer seen. They're no longer seen in society because they feel replaced. They feel replaced by, well, who knows who. But we've got to get to a place in our society where we connect enough with each other that nobody has a reason to feel that they are being replaced or overlooked. Now, there's going to be people that are going to go down that road because they like being victims and they just want to be, it's kind of their identity. We can't help people like that. But we can help those who may seem that they feel left out. There's nothing worse than feeling left out. As a child, you can remember being picked for the team and nobody picked you, and you had to, somebody had to take you at the end. Well, I think there's a lot of people in our society that feel that way. And we can change that just by the energy that we're walking around in. If enough people do it, I think it'll matter. So, in this one grocery store I go to all the time, just put in those self-checkout things. I rarely go through those. I try to go through a cashier's stand because I want to connect with someone. I want to be in their presence, look them in the eye, ask them how their day is going, listen if they want to talk, and thank them when I leave. And that's all I do. It's not a big deal. I don't stand there and talk to them and create big conversations with people. I just simply acknowledge them in a way that I hope makes them understand that they have been seen in a way that maybe they haven't been seen before. I do this in the produce section. I'm always in the produce section of this one, supermarket. And I find that if people, okay, so I was at a checkout stand the other day, and this lady in front of me is stuck. She's paid for her groceries, but she's stuck because the person in front of her who's loading up the groceries was not being aware that she's behind her waiting for her to move. And so this woman's stuck, and then I'm trying to get up to the place where I'm checking out and putting my card in, and she turns around and looks at me, and I just give her this big smile. And she smiled back, and it was kind of like wink, wink, we know what's going on here. And so eventually this lady moves and gets out of the way, and this one comes around, and I said, I think there should be training on how to, put your buggy in there so that you're not in the way. And we were kind of laughing, and I said, well, that gave you quite a time to just rest for a while. And she just started laughing, and it was like we had such a great time bagging up our groceries together. And when I left, she goes, I just hope you have a really great day. And I said, you too, but the point is, we could have been angry. And, maybe if I had been angry because she's in my way, then maybe she would have been angry because the other woman's in her way. And instead, we just made a fun thing out of it, and we connected a little bit at the end of the checkout line, and we went on our way. And I think that her whole day could have pivoted right there. And maybe you're thinking, you're making these things too big. No, I'm not. I think these are the things that matter in our lives. We always make big things matter and small things inconsequential. I really believe in order to change our world, we're going to have to switch that around and make the small things matter. And the big things, we have to be able to look at them in the perspective of how the small things are going to change them. It's hard to live in the world right now and watch what's going on. It's difficult to watch hate crimes. It's difficult to, for me, it's difficult to watch these babies come through our court system because they're 5 months old and they have bruises head to toe because daddy lost his cool. It's hard to live in that kind of world. In order for us to make it through this time, we have to be willing to take the responsibility for our own lives, for our own energy, for our responses. We have to take the responsibility to not react, but know how to respond in a way that does not create enemies out of people, that does not alienate other people. And we've lived in a law and order country, supposedly, but there's been little justice for whole groups of people. We have to change that. We have to rearrange our priorities. People first. We have to have people first. We have to have children first. We have to have people who are needing our help first. And I think that what I've outlined here today will help. I've just been practicing a lot of quietness and pausing. And if something's bothering me, if something's happened, or maybe there's something that happened, maybe, I was going to say at work, I very rarely get unhappy about anything at work, but let's say something bad happens at work, and I don't even know what that would be, but let's say there is. Then it's up to me. I can't always change what's happening, but I can change my response to what's happening. And it's the responses that people create, I think, that matter. We are responsible for how we respond to things of that nature. So I hope this has helped you. I hope that this has given you something to think about. I hope that you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about your energy. My energy has become very happy over the last few years. My energy used to be very heavy, very depressed, pretty angry, and I have just worked on myself for the last few years in very deep ways. And I feel happy. I'm, for the most part, content with my life. I feel positive about what I'm doing and even who I am. And trust me, those of you that know me, knew me back in the day, you know how different that is than I used to be. So I just want to encourage you. Even old dogs can learn new tricks. I think that we mellow in time or we get worse in time. We can either become really old, bitter people, or we can become the kind of people who the world is going to lose one day, and then people are going to be so sorry you're gone because you brought light to the world. I believe we are the light of the world when we choose to be. So this is Susan K. Please like and subscribe to my channel. That'll help me to get more people to watch. And I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving this year. See you next time.
Thanks for watching Susan K today. Subscribe on the button below and be watching for more. Learn how to breathe with Susan K.